right, everyone. Welcome back to the Tennessee Brando Show. Hope everyone is doing well. We're trying something a little bit different today, and I hope to see how it turns out. But we're also live over on Instagram at the moment, which is something we've not done before. But I just wanted to give the people over on Instagram an idea of what we do here on YouTube, and so. This show is also streaming on Instagram, as far as I know. I'm still getting this thing set up here, so we'll see if that's working. If not, I just said that for nothing. But either way you slice it, I do appreciate all of you for being here and hope everyone is doing well. We sure have a whole lot to talk about. And I saw a comment and I saved this comment because I tell you what, you absolutely got me on this one and I have to hand it to you. So the title of this live stream is called Maga Becomes the Swamp. But the Shining Star commented and said this: MAGA has always been the swamp. And that is a much better title because they truly have always been the swamp. We all knew it. We all saw this coming. And now it's just a matter of we all pop the popcorn, sit back and watch it all burn down, even though we knew that it would eventually. We knew there was really no way around this. So again, there's a whole lot to talk about, and thank y'all so much for tuning in because man, is there a lot to talk about today. So to recap here, folks, if you go back if you go all the way back to the very start, I would like to point out this. I would like to point out that Jeffrey Epstein died, supposedly, on Trump's watch. So that happened on Trump's watch. And when it did, MAGA started this whole thing of Epstein didn't kill himself. And actually, I don't know that that's all the way 100% a MAGA thing. I think a lot of people said to themselves, I think a whole lot of people said to themselves, we don't think he killed himself. That looks fishy, or something seems off about it. So that's not necessarily a MAGA issue, but it's something that people began to immediately talk about. But MAGA is definitely the ones that amplified it the hardest and said that, okay, Epstein didn't kill himself. Then Trump gets reelected. And on the campaign trail, he ran on this idea that if he was reelected, he would once and for all expose the deep state. Because you got to understand, MAGA, in their minds, he didn't get to finish the job. No matter what arguments that we have set and made to MAGA, no matter what we've tried to point out, we could point out all of the times that Trump has been seen with Epstein, dancing beside Epstein, having young girls sit on his lap beside Epstein, on the plane with Epstein. We could show them every picture and video in the world, and they're holding out. Wait a minute, hold on, wait. He's going to expose the deep state. He's going to expose the Democrats. That's what they've been waiting on this entire time. That's where they've been wanting to see this thing go. And so, that's why that every single argument we've ever made, they've came back with, well, hold on a minute now. If you'll just give us a minute, he's going to get back in there. He's going to get reelected. He's going to expose it all. So he gets back in there, and you had Elon on the campaign trail saying the reason why Kamala's getting so many donors throwing money her way is because she has people on that list. Her donors are on that list, and that's why they're all throwing money behind her, because they know that if she's elected, she will just cover it all up. They ran on this, folks. This has been their idea. This has been one of their biggest talking points, one of their biggest conspiracies this entire time. It's all been MAGA's. He gets reelected. Pam Bondi in February says that they have the files. They're on her desk. The list is on her desk. She's going to go through it. They're going to expose it all. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino comes out and says, well, yeah, he did kill himself, but we've still got more to show you. It's going to be coming out as we go through it. Then, Elon drops the big bomb and says that the reason Trump's not releasing it is because he's on it. And then Trump goes into Los Angeles and starts a bunch of unnecessary chaos to try to distract us from it. Then he bombs Iran in an attempt, I do believe, to distract us from it. And so once he exercises those options, see, those options really didn't work. The first one kind of did because MAGA don't give a damn about blue states and they hate brown people. So they love seeing Los Angeles get raided, and they could sit there and show you a picture of someone waving a Mexican flag or standing on a burning car, and then they could use that as a weapon against people they dislike. But when he bombed Iran, that really wasn't the chess move that he thought it was, because when he bombed Iran, they were like, wait a minute, you said no more wars. So he kind of stepped in a pile of shit there. For everyone that says, Donald Trump's not playing checkers, man, he's playing chess. Just hold on a minute, he's playing chess. No, he's not playing chess. He is absolutely wrecking the whole board is what he's doing here at the moment. Because when he did that, that caused MAGA to question him. And then here comes the Epstein stuff back, and what does Trump do? He says, well, the files never existed. None of this existed. And MAGA influencers began falling apart at the seams, because remember when they held up phase one? Remember when they said this is only the beginning? We're going to expose the deep state? That's the moment they were waiting for. That's why they've argued with us for the last 10 years. They've been arguing this entire time because they've been waiting for him to drain that swamp. They've been waiting for him to expose the deep state. This was the moment they've been waiting for, and then he tells them everything I've been telling you wasn't real. Everything that I've been telling you didn't happen. And so, then, in one of Donald Trump's classic attempts, because all these MAGA influencers and a lot of the top people at the top of MAGA start saying, wait a minute, that don't make sense. So then Trump goes in and plays one of his favorite all-time hits. What he does then is he says that this was all a big Democratic hoax. This was all crooked Hillary and Barack Obama. And even Trump's staunchest supporter, even the ones who have went to bat for him from day one, even they called it bullshit. Even they said, no, that can't be. And this is where Trump backed himself. He has backed himself into a massive corner here. And there's several ways that he completely screwed himself with that statement. Number one, if it really was a hoax, I don't believe it is, and none of us do. No one believes that. That's the only thing at this point we have in common with MAGA, is none of us believes that it was a hoax. But let's say that it was. Let's say that it was this hoax. Let's say there was absolutely nothing to it. Well, Trump ran on it. He exploited it. He used a story about child sex trafficking to exploit that story to get elected. And he promised to expose that story. So what he's telling his base is, I ran on a lie. I lied to you. I made up a bullshit story. I made this bullshit story up to get you to vote for me because I promised that I would expose the deep state and drain the swamp, and you believed it, but now I just got to tell you, hey, it was a lie all the time. Well, that's not going to fly with MAGA, because if he wants to blame it on crooked Hillary, they've been wanting him to lock her up from day one. That's one of the biggest pops he got in MAGA world, and it's really what lit the fuse and just really got the whole thing going. When during that debate, he said to her, in that debate they had, he said, you know, if I was elected, you'd be in jail. That if I was president, you'd be in jail. They all flexed, because guess who they think is the enemy from within? Guess who they think should be rooted out like the vermin? It's people like me and you. It's Democrats, it's liberals, and they wanted to see the people at the top of the Democratic and liberal establishment. They wanted to see those people go down. That's why they were suddenly all about it. They wanted to see him lock her up. He didn't. Then they felt like the election got stole from him, so they was giving him a pass because, well, it all got stole from him. Just give him a chance to get it back. And if he gets it back, he'll show you. He'll show you that they're crooked. Well, now that he said crooked Hillary created this hoax, that's not going to be good enough, because they're going to want to see her locked up if it's a hoax. And if he attempts to lock her up, well, he'd have to put her on trial, and they'd have to open up the files. So he's absolutely screwed either way you slice it. The guy is absolutely screwed either way you slice it. And so it's one of those things where all you can do at this point is just sit back and laugh. All you can do at this point is just, sit back and pop the popcorn. We're going to need plenty of it. And by the way, again, we are running live over on Instagram. Shout out to everyone over there. I wanted to see how that would go. We got 32 people with us. Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone is well. Just decided to kind of do this to get people on Instagram. We've kind of been growing over there, and I wanted people to know what we do over here on YouTube. And this is what we do every Tuesday at noon on YouTube. So we just wanted to give the Instagram audience a chance to join us in today. And so, again, I really do appreciate all of you for being here with me, the ones that are joining in over on Instagram. But another big pile of steaming shit that Trump stepped in as he was trying to play chess. He's playing chess, Brando. Just give him a minute. Well, he is a terrible chess player, okay? And I'm still trying to get woke up, so let me down a little bit more of this JFG coffee from Knoxville I'm drinking. He stepped in another big pile of it because if he's going to say that it's a hoax, well, first of all, if he says it's a hoax, then that means Epstein killed himself for nothing. That's kind of hilarious. But then also, if he says it's a hoax, then Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice and girlfriend, she's pulling 20 years for Epstein. She's the only one in connection with Epstein that has went to jail. So if she is in jail serving a prison sentence over a hoax, that's going to cause her to pop up and say, hey, guess what? I'll be willing to testify before Congress. I'll testify before Congress. Let me talk. And then Democrats bring it to the table and says, okay, Ro Khanna, they come out and they say, hey, let's let her talk. Let's let her talk before Congress. And guess what Republicans did? They blocked it. They stopped it from happening. Why? This was their moment, folks. This is the moment they've all been waiting for ever since Epstein died. This is the big moment they've all been waiting for. All they got to do, if Trump is innocent and all the Republicans are innocent and all the Democrats are guilty, all they have to do now is let her talk. And they've been using the talking point of, well, if he really done something, then why didn't the Democrats release it? Well, that was then. And I will say, as someone who has voted Democrat in every election since I turned 18, I will say that Democrats might not have been saying something because, yeah, they could have been covering it up for people that gives them money. And, yeah, they absolutely could be trying to cover something up. I will be willing to admit that because I'm not in a cult and the Democratic Party doesn't own me and I don't worship them and I don't fly flags off my truck with their names on it. But that being said, that's in the rear view now. Now the Democrats are saying, "Hey, let's vote for it. Let's let her get up here and talk." And it's the Republicans who are saying, "No, we're not interested." So this was their moment. They had the ball. It was 1st and 10 on the 1 yard line. All they had to do was go for it. There's nothing stopping you. You don't have. I mean, this is it. This is your moment. Now, the Republicans that are mad, the influencers are really upset. And Charlie Kirk, which is, I refer to him as Trump's youth pastor, Charlie Kirk comes out after saying the Epstein files should be released yesterday. That's what he's been saying forever. He's talked about Epstein. We've covered it here on the show, him talking about Epstein over and over. Release the files, release the files. Then he goes to his Turning Point event, stands up and says, nervously, sheepishly, like, how many of you raise your hand? Do you care about Epstein? Do you care? You know what, folks? I played in dive bars for over 25 years. I would go out there, me and my band, and get up and play. They wanted to hear music there. I imagine if I'd have said to my audience, raise your hand. Do you want us to play some tonight? Hey, everybody, do you want us to play for you? They'd have been like, yeah, dumbass, start playing. That's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. Well, Maga has been here this entire time for this moment, and the band ain't playing. So Charlie Kirk, well, raise your hand if it's still important. Raise your hand if you're upset about this. Oh. And then he got his marching orders. Then his cult leader hollered down at him and said, hey, Charlie, shut up about this. Stop asking the people because I want them to all shut up. And so Charlie, like the little bitch that he is, that's why I never take him serious. That's why I would never sit across from him while he tries to get the corn out of his teeth and talk to him. He goes out there and bows to his master and says, I'm done talking about Epstein. I'm not going to talk about Epstein anymore. And then he said something that made me curl up in the fetal position and laugh like hell. He said, I'm going to trust my friends and I'm going to trust my government to take care of this. And folks, that's probably the hardest gut laugh that I have had in so long. Probably the hardest laugh I've had since the election. I mean, I haven't laughed. I have been depressed. I've been down in the dumps since the election. I realized what kind of authoritarian nightmare we were headed into. I knew how bad this was all going to be. But to see Charlie Kirk become the little swamp rat, which he always was, by the way, he always was that swamp rat. But to see him become that swamp rat was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to trust my government. I think that should be played on this coming Sunday at every church, every MAGA church in the country should have that on the big screen. And the minister should start with that. They literally should start with that. Every Republican town hall meeting should start with Charlie Kirk going, I'm not going to talk about Epstein. I'm going to trust my friends and I'm going to trust my government. We should make bumper stickers, Charlie Kirk, I'm going to trust my government. What a bitch. I mean, no spine whatsoever. No spine, no backbone, no testicles, nothing. Nothing. Just went out there and rolled over. Why? Well, why? That's the $1 million question. Why can't Charlie Kirk and why can't the dudes that are sitting in their pickup trucks throwing their MAGA hats out the window, why can't they, as they get mad at Trump, why can't they say, Trump, if you were in those files and if you done something wrong, put you at the bottom of the jail? Why can't they say that? Why is it that they can't bring themselves? I sat and watched like a 5-minute video of some dude, and I hate to say this, but I stopped because he looked like a great uncle that I had. He kind of favored my uncle, and I went, dang, that guy, favors him. And I stopped, and he's sitting there, and he's like, no more MAGA hat for me. I'm done with my MAGA hat. And he takes it off and throws it down. He puts on a new hat. This is hard for me to admit, folks. This is hard for me to talk about. And he sits there and he cries. I kept waiting. I even played it for my mom and dad. I said, hey, look, this looks like our uncle here. Check this guy out. My mom and dad sat and watched it with me. We kept looking at it, and I kept saying, I'm waiting. They're like, what are you waiting for? I said, I'll tell you when he's done, but I'm waiting. I watched like 5.5 minutes of this guy. Mad, upset. Trump, how could you do this? We put you back in power. But then he said something that this is when I knew he was never going to say what I wanted to hear, and I'll tell you that in a minute. But he says, you ran on you was going to lock her up. And then when you got elected, you never said a word about her. She never did get locked up. And I wanted to see her and Robert De Niro and Kevin Spacey and Oprah and Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell all get locked up, and you didn't do it. And we put you back in power to make you because we wanted you to be over the law of the land. We wanted to put the law of the land in your hands to expose the deep state, and now you're not doing it. Now you're covering it up for them. And that's when I realized they're mad. They're not mad because they're mainly mad because the Democrats aren't going to jail. They're mad because no one that they hate is getting locked up. But the guy never said, Trump, if you're on it, if you hurt an innocent child, if you're a piece of shit, then I was duped by you. I will never vote Republican or for any of you assholes ever again. And if you're guilty, then I hope that you go to the bottom of the jail. He couldn't bring himself to say that. They never do. Maybe some of you may have seen one somewhere that said something to that nature, but I have yet to see it. Everyone I've seen, and I've sat there and waited patiently. And while this guy's talking, he goes off talking about the mark of the beast and other Harry Potter bullshit. It's like, it drives me crazy that they can never entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, the whole reason that this is blowing up in their faces is because Trump himself is scared to death of the truth coming out. And really, to the biggest MAGA troll out there, do you really think Donald Trump gives a shit about Democrats? Do you think he's trying to protect them? Do you think he would even try to protect a Republican? He always turns on them in a heartbeat and calls them rhinos, and that's all he would have to do. All he would have to do, if there's Republicans on there too, is release the list And he could throw out Bill Clinton's name first if he's the top. He could give them that one. Here's Bill and Hillary locked up, or here, finally, you're getting your wet dream. It's coming true. Here you go. He could start with them at the top, and then he could work his way down. And every time he called off a Republican name and sent them to jail, he could be like, hey, they're Rhino. They're a Republican name only. I'm the only true Republican left. But he's not doing that. He's not doing that, folks. He's continuing to cover it up, continuing to tell us to shut up. And when we all realize, wow, we could have the testimony that we'd all like to see. Me and the dude that took his hat off, threw it out the window, me and that dude would both love to see Ghislaine Maxwell testify, and Republicans blocked it. So the Democrats could have done something. Talking point is shit. Republicans could have did it. They didn't. How do you like them apples? This is where we're at, folks. And it's so, I mean, I said in a previous video that there have been times where I've chuckled and I've laughed and I doubled over laughing at Charlie Kirk, but it's hard to laugh at this shit because of the people that it's affected. It's hard to laugh at this shit because of what they were willing to allow to happen so that they could have this big conspiracy that they thought was there, so they could have it all exposed. They were willing to sell out this country. They were willing to go to the Capitol on January 6th and beat police officers over the head. They had no problem with police officers dying that day. They had no problem with any of it. They pardoned hardened criminals who was criminals before they went to January 6th. They let them beat up police officers. They let them desecrate our Capitol, walking around with their Confederate flags in the Capitol and their "Don't Tread on Me" flags or Trump flags. I seen more flags that day, but I still don't remember really seeing the American flag that much. The American flag took a back seat that day to all of their stupid merch that they bought. They have sat back and they've been for all of this, and they've laughed at the idea of 65 million immigrants being eaten by alligators. They think that's hilarious. They were willing to go through all that because they was like, hold on a minute, wait, he's going to expose the deep state. And now they learned that he's not. But they were willing to sell us out. They were willing to sit back and lie and tell us that big, beautiful bill was beautiful. Just the fact that they called it the big, beautiful bill is ridiculous. Just the fact that they put those words to their mouth is absolutely ridiculous. But they sat back and they cut their noses off to spite their own face, thinking that he was going to expose the deep state. And now they learn that he himself is it. And yes, I'm drinking from a Buc-ee's coffee mug, by the way. It's a beaver, it says on the other side. But I tell you what, if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, not to get sidetracked, but we kind of need to laugh after all this shit we've talked about. Not to get sidetracked, but Buc-ee's is like one of the world's largest gas stations. There's like 250 pumps there. It's like almost bigger than a Walmart Supercenter. It's insane. And they've got literally everything you could ever imagine in it. It is absolutely where Southern culture goes to just explode. And I went there not too long ago. For those of you that are familiar with Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I actually landed there during Rod Run, and I never go to Rod Run on purpose. But I accidentally got stuck in that crap, and then went to Buc-ee's on Rod Run. And I'm not making fun of this person. I hope they're okay. But one dude was on the floor stroking out. I don't blame him, because I'm telling you what, if you ever go into a Buc-ee's, when you walk through the front door, all reason, all logic, and all common sense goes out the window. Common courtesy goes completely out. No one, it's like everyone leaves their brain at the door and just all runs around. It's like The Walking Dead. Remember that scene in The Walking Dead? And I wasn't the biggest Walking Dead fan, so I never finished the story. I only made it up to maybe season 4 or 5. But remember the scene where Daryl gets surrounded by all the zombies, which I know that's every episode, but like there's one in particular where they do this big like helicopter shot, and he's trying to back his car out, and there's these zombies, and there's a big pile of them, and he gets stuck on top of this pile of zombies, and he ain't got enough arrows, and the credits roll, and you're like, oh God, did Daryl make it? That's what it was like going to Buc-ee's on Rod Run. I will never do that again as long as I live. But folks, I do appreciate all of you so much for tuning in. We actually do have 30 people that made it over on Instagram, and I really appreciate y'all for being here. We got a few more minutes in the show. And it's been a hell of a show because there's been a hell of a lot to talk about. And if I was to get sidetracked talking on Buc-ee's, then dang, we'd be here for the rest of the day. Because man, I tell you what, that was a hard one. Going there on Rod Run. If you ever get a chance to do it, jump off a cliff, man. That's like it's bad. It's really bad. Actually, don't even. I mean, I don't, unless you like hot rod cars. If you like hot rod cars and you're willing to sit for 3 hours and move at a snail's pace to look at them, then go for it. But yeah, I truly do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And folks, this ain't going to go away. This is the one thing that's just not going to go away here. It really can't. Because the more Trump has tried to get rid of it, the more he's tried to get it to go away, then the worse he's making it. My uncle used to say to me years ago, Brando, the more you stir shit, the worse it stinks. He used to say that to me all the time, like, just stop. Don't, just stop talking about it. You're just making it worse. And that's what's happened. And Donald Trump is not playing chess. To anyone out there that says that to you, just try to kind of, just overlook it at this point. There's nothing really you can say. If someone says that to you, Trump's playing chess, man, just wait. There's no reason in getting in the middle of a conversation like that, because if you start arguing with someone like that, the people standing on the outside is not going to be able to tell who the idiot really is. So just stay out of the way of people that says that. But he's not playing chess. Every move that he's making is a disastrous one. Every move that he's making is making things worse. And every move that he's making is enraging his base. So it's going to be very interesting. I've had some people say, and I've even seen it in the comment section, where some people are saying, well, what will Trump do next? Well, that's the $1 million question. He wants to get back to investigating the 2020 election. He wants to get back to investigating things like that. But I tell you, the moment that I really knew he was screwed when Elon said what he said. Because I knew that wouldn't go away. Elon has too big of a platform for that to go away. It's there forever. But I really knew when they said there's no list, and then when Trump said, why are we still talking about Epstein? Why are we still talking about Epstein? I mean, that's one of the craziest things. If Mick Jagger ever walked out on stage and said, why are y'all wanting to hear the Rolling Stones tonight? I mean, that's what they were waiting for. They were waiting for that moment, and they're not going to get it. They'll try to set and spin it, but every way they try to spin it, MAGA is not going to get the verdict and the outcome they really wanted. And the outcome they really wanted was to see Democrats go to jail. They wanted to see they thought it was us, folks. That's who they thought it was. And they wanted to flex on us. And if they could have been right about that one moment, then they could have found a way to justify it in their mind that they was right on everything else. They was really hoping that they could somehow pull this one out. And that's why every argument we ever had with them, they were holding on for dear life. Like, well, just give us 1 minute, okay? We're going to prove to you that there is a deep state. We're going to prove to you that all of these things happen. And now they're not going to get what they wanted. They're not going to see Hillary Clinton behind bars. They're not going to see Barack Obama behind bars. And that's what they wanted more than anything. And, I don't know where it ends. I don't know where it lands. But I do think that Democrats needs to keep talking about it. They need to just drive it right into the ground, keep driving that point home, bring it up every chance they get. I think the mainstream media, every question they need to ask is about it. I don't think they should just go back to business as usual, talking about other things. I think everybody, Democrats, moderates, in between, in the middle, Republicans that are mad, even MAGA that is mad, I think that we should just all keep talking about it. Just keep driving it home. Because if he's trying, either way you slice it, folks, first of all, he was never fit for office to start with. But second of all, he sure as hell should have never been allowed back. But third, if he is going to be back in this entire time, either A, he exploited a hoax, he exploited a fake story about child trafficking, he exploited that. If he did that, he doesn't deserve to be behind that desk. And if he's covering it up, then I'm sure everyone would agree that he doesn't deserve to be behind that desk. So, yeah, man, it's sad because, MAGA needed a hero. They were people that needed a hero. They were people that were looking for something, looking for like a way out. And I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I don't know that Trump, I think it was Pete Buttigieg made this great point. He said, if we had have had a good economy, the economy's been bad for years. We've had people struggling for years. People have had a hard time making it in this world for years. And if we'd have had people making it better, and our education system had been stronger, and more people had got educated, and more people would have been able to make it when they got out of school, and if more people had been able to pay their bills and pay their mortgage without losing everything they had, then someone like Donald Trump could have never came in and capitalized on the people. But he absolutely is a true cult leader in the truest sense of the word. If you study any cult, what the cult leader does is they bring in people who were disenfranchised. They bring in people who kind of gave up hope, and they bring in people who's looking for someone that will make them feel strong. If you go back to the Manson family, that's the one that I've studied the most. I've got a bookshelf over here, and there's one whole row that's almost books on the Manson murders. And the one thing about it back then in the 50s and 60s, you had these hardcore, conservative parents that raised up their daughters and told their daughters that when they got old enough, they should get married and have a bunch of kids and keep their mouth shut. And they weren't allowed to wear makeup, and they weren't allowed to dress the way they wanted to dress, and wear the clothes they wanted to wear, and all those things. And so, they go out into the world, and there's this little hippie, charismatic cult leader who can play guitar and sing, and he's got the good drugs, and he starts talking to them and telling them how beautiful they are, and telling them how they just need to be free, and they need to forget about it, and hey, try this ain't bad, this will take you to the moon, and so all of a sudden these girls feel pretty, they feel empowered, they feel like they're somebody because their parents made them feel miserable. People like that's always capitalized. Jonestown did the same thing. David Koresh did the same thing. They capitalized on people who were looking for somebody to make their life better. And it's sad to say, I'm not trying to belittle people when I say that, but it's just the truth. People have struggled in this country for years and years. Donald Trump came along, and instead of talking about real solutions, things that could actually fix the problem, he just started pointing to the blame of what was causing all the problems. Telling people it was brown people causing the problems. It was gay and trans people causing the problems. And it was those evil Democrats causing those problems. And he hammered the living hell out of the Democrats as hard as he could and painted them as the absolute Skeletor, the absolute Darth Vader in his story. And one of the reasons why that I don't go as hard on the Democrats is because, first of all, everyone beats them up on both sides of the aisle. And second of all, you take the worst possible candidate we could have, and they still ain't as bad as the best that Maga could cook up, if there is such a thing. There's no one on the Republican side, there's no one in Maga that I would trust at all. And I could pick somebody over here that I know, well, they ain't perfect. They got a lot of flaws and a lot of faults, and I'm not happy with everything. But dang, these people over here, and also, folks, it actually, for me, I want you to understand that it actually goes beyond the politics to me. It goes beyond the policy to me. And it goes with the cruelty that MAGA has embraced. The laughing at people being eaten by alligators. The demonizing of the gay and trans community. Loving seeing people sit out of this country with no due process. All of those things. Those things are the cruelty that he's promoted. If you just walk in a flea market and look at a merch booth with Trump's merch, or go to one of these ridiculous stores they got down in Gatlinburg, you go in there and you look around and it's just cruel shit everywhere. And there's a generation of children growing up that thinks if you speak against racism that you're woke, and somehow woke became a bad word. They think DEI is a bad thing. They think diversity and equality. They think all those things. Freedom is bad. They think the Constitution is bad unless they can beat you over the head with it. They cherry pick the Bible to beat you over the head with it. So really, if you're like, man, I wish he'd have hammered that Democrat a little bit. I wish he'd beat up Hakeem Jeffries a little bit harder. Hakeem Jeffries ain't out there pushing this level of hate, pushing this level of cruelty, pushing this level of division. He's got plenty of faults. I could sit and argue with him all day. But the reason why I don't sit and just get him in the corner like Foreman on Ali is because it's like, hey, he's not J.D. Vance. He's not Trump. He's not these cruel ass MAGA people who have pushed this stuff to the moon. That's the reason. And it's so it goes beyond that to me. But now here we are. They've waited for it. They've waited for this big moment, and they're not getting it. So there you go. And there's going to be the people, I'm already seeing it. Well, there you go, man. Both sides are the same. Neither side cares about you. No, both sides are not the same because we were sitting here trying to warn you about Project 2025. We were trying to warn you about the big, beautiful bill. We were trying to tell you what was going to happen if it passed. We were trying to tell you the things that they told you was in there that wasn't in there, or was only going to be in there for a few years. We tried every way in the world to point to every giant red flag that we could along the way. And we said if Bill Clinton's guilty, if Barack Obama's guilty, if any Democrat is guilty, throw them to the bottom of the jail and we won't give a damn. We've said that this entire time. Maga's never been able to say the same about Trump, so I don't want to hear both sides are the same. They don't neither one care about us. No, Trump only cared about himself, and he just unleashed a generation of hate on everybody. And I think about my youngest kids and my grandchildren that are going to be growing up in this mess. And if anything, I've told everyone that if anything, I just want my channel to stand as evidence and proof to my children and grandchildren that I didn't buy into the bullshit, and that I didn't push the hatred, and that I didn't push the propaganda, and I didn't go out there and whore myself out like Charlie Kirk and make people believe something and get them all worked up and invested in something, only to turn around and tell them I'm going to trust the government. And I'm only laughing at the end to keep from crying, because that's how fucking sad this whole thing is, that we're even back in this boat. So let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep moving the conversation forward. Let's keep standing up for people and their rights. Let's keep trying to be good to people. Treat people the way we want to be treated. I'm an agnostic that's saying that. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Do the right thing, and do the right thing regardless. How about that? How about just do the right thing without thinking, I'm going to get to go to heaven or I'm going to die and go to hell? How about just, you know what? Either way you slice it, I just want to be a good person and stop spreading this hatred. So, folks, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I want to let y'all know a few things before we go, because we did have a crowd over on Instagram, and I truly do appreciate all of you over there who joined in for this first time ever live on Instagram too. We're going back to back on Instagram and YouTube, because I wanted the crowd over there to see what we do on YouTube. We do this every Tuesday, unless I've got something come up and can't. This is usually a regular show every Tuesday at noon Eastern time. We come here on YouTube and we shoot the breeze and catch up on the latest news. I'm also writing over on Substack. If you check me out over there, if you like to hear written form or read written form, I've really been enjoying writing Substacks over there. I've actually wrote a piece. It's really interesting because I sat here and wrote a piece before I went live. That's what I was doing as I was kind of preparing to go live. I was writing a piece basically saying what I just said, but it's just interesting how when you sit down to write it in the written format, your brain works different. I don't think I said anything in this live stream. I don't think I said anything that I typed in that piece. So I'm going to release that right after we get off here over on Substack. I also put some short videos over there. Eventually, I would like to do a live stream over there and see how it goes, because I really love that platform. I love the layout of it. It's just a very good platform and an easy one to use. Yes, I am on Blue Sky. You can check me out over there. I do post from time to time on Blue Sky. I still throw a few up here and there on TikTok. Still post some to Instagram and Facebook and the Meta platforms. I did post a song a while back to X, the first one I've posted since the election. I don't like giving Elon Musk content. I don't like that dumpster fire. You know, I understand the argument. I heard Brett Marcellus make this argument. I think the world of Brett. He's like, we got to get in all those spaces and stand up for the truth and be on the right side of history, no matter how negative the space may be. And I admire that. And maybe I will post from time to time, but there's so many places to post and so much to do that when you're a full-time content creator, it truly does become a full-time job. So I appreciate everyone for helping out. Thank you so much to the moderators today for helping keep the riffraff out. I went from playing in dive bars and having bouncers to sitting at my desk and having moderators. So it's a crazy world. But yes, I am on Substack. Also, you can check out my merch store over on Fourth Wall. Got some new designs there and got some more coming. And I do have to close with this, I guess. I got to close with this, man. This made my day. I was on cloud nine all day yesterday because a while back I did a video talking about the wrestler Kevin Nash. And if you follow me for any amount of time, you know I've watched wrestling since I was a kid. I'm always making the wrestling analogies, comparing it to Trump, because it is very WWE, the way that he runs things. And I have been watching Kevin Nash wrestle since I was 10. I first saw him come out as the Master Blaster, Steel. I believe he was Steel. And then he was Oz, and then he was Vinny Vegas, and then he went to the WWF and became Diesel. And then he went to WCW and started the NWO with Scott Hall. And I would have absolutely cheered for the NWO if the third man had been anyone but Hulk Hogan. I thought they were going to make it. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you'll just have to bear with me. But the ones that do, you'll know what I mean. I thought the third man was going to be Sting. I thought when they came out and it was Sting, Luger, and Macho Man versus Hall and Nash, I thought Sting would betray WCW and join them. That's what I was hoping would happen. And had that happened, I would have been NWO for life. But it was Hulk Hogan, who I have hated since I was a kid. I cheered for Roddy Piper over Hogan. I cheered for Andre over Hogan. I cheered for everybody over Hogan except the Ultimate Warrior. I could not stand the Ultimate Warrior, so I cheered for Hogan at WrestleMania 6, and of course WrestleMania 7 because he fought Sergeant Slaughter, when he was doing that stupid Iraqi gimmick. That's the only two times. Well, and I cheered for Hogan when he fought him in the Warrior in WCW. I never liked the Warrior. But anyway, watched wrestling my whole life. Not to get sidetracked on that. Watched it my whole life. And then I did a video defending Kevin Nash because he came out and, started speaking out and saying some things. And his fans started turning on him and saying, I can't believe he's woke. I can't believe he's a Democrat, blah, blah, blah. And I just, made a video talking about it. And I said, hey, Kevin Nash has a right to speak his mind. He has a right to say what he believes. You don't have to agree with it, but, why turn on the guy? And I said, more people are seeing that this is about human rights and it's about people, and they're just speaking up and speaking out. And so I made that video, and then yesterday it was brought to my attention that he shouted me out on his podcast, Click This. And I was just sitting there going, damn, the 15-year-old kid in me is loving every minute of this, because when he said that Sean Waltman, who played X-Pac, he said that he sent him my video, I was like, shit, you mean the NWO is sitting around like sending my videos around? That's pretty damn cool. So, yeah, shout out to Kevin Nash, man. I left a comment on his video and was like, man, you might have lost some subscribers and some followers, but you gained the right people. I learned that myself. When you speak out like this, you are going to piss a lot of people off, run a lot of people off. But what you're going to do is you're going to surround yourself by the people that you do need. And I heard him say he was up like 60,000 followers after that. So he's back to gaining his followers, and he'll have the people that will be with him for life. And if you're a wrestling fan, you got that joke. But, it meant a lot to me. And thanks to Kevin Nash and Sean Oliver for the shout out on Click This. That is a podcast that I do listen to quite a bit, because when I'm trying to decompress from talking to you all about this stuff, I go over and watch wrestling podcasts, and I'm a huge fan of Jim Cornette. I listen to the Drive-Thru and the Experience. I'm a huge Cornette fan. Have been since I was like 5, and I listen to his. I listen to Arn Anderson, and I listen to Kevin Nash. Click This. I listen to Jake's as long as he's the only one talking. I love DDP, but I just really want to hear Jake talk. Jake's badass, and as much as he might have disappointed me politically, and as much as I miss his original co-host, I still from time to time listen to the Undertaker's podcast. I'm just I have been a big wrestling fan my whole life, and so to hear one of you, childhood favorites, call you out like that, it was cool. So thanks to Kevin Nash for that one, and thank you all so much for sticking with me. We're going to keep pushing forward, folks, regardless. We're not going to stop. We're not going to back down. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And again, thank you all. And to those of you over on Instagram, remember we do this every Tuesday at noon. I'll be back here again Tuesday at noon on YouTube, noon Eastern. So y'all come back and join us again. And I really do appreciate you so much for supporting what I do. We'll keep pushing forward. We'll keep watching Maga burn to the ground. And, yeah, we're going to have to pop plenty of popcorn, folks, because it's just going to keep getting crazy. And as I'm sitting here making these, a lot of times I stop reading the comments because there's so many of them, I get distracted. And I want to stay on point and stay on topic. I have literally been making these shows, and when I got off the air, all hell had broke loose somewhere. So if it has, I'm sorry I didn't cover it. But we'll do the best we can. We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep moving the conversation forward. We went a little into overtime today, and I had a good time. But again, thank y'all to everyone on YouTube and everyone on Instagram. And I will see you again next Tuesday at noon Eastern time.